Hey, Mark.
Hi,
Oh my goodness. I'm so excited to see you.
I'm so excited.
And
Are we recording? We're going. It's going. It's
we-
just going.
we're going- we're, it's not live, but that's my goal at some point in the future. But um, I think I'm just, honestly, I want to say thank you because I feel like you may have changed the path of my life without knowing it.
Wow,
So,
that's an introduction.
um,
Okay. Typically, when
so
people
basically,
tell me that, my kids tell me that, and it's not a good path. They're telling me about the trauma I caused them and years of therapy. I'll have to. That's good. Okay, tell me about what happened.
oh my goodness, I can definitely relate to causing kids trauma, but that's another podcast episode probably. So I think earlier in the year, you tweeted about NFTs with your art, and as soon as I saw the tweet and that you were talking about NFTs, and this was it must have been around March, April,
Hmm.
and I was kind of just coming into the space, into more like the Ethereum community and things like that, and just kind of getting introduced to crypto. I didn't really understand the concept of NFTs. I'd heard
Mm.
what it
Me
was. I
neither.
kind of knew what it stood for, but I didn't really know anything beyond that. And then I saw your tweet and I was like, I get it. I get NFTs. I just like totally understood why the digital format would have value, like the
Hmm.
many possibilities that you could, as an artist, kind of experiment with. And I just have to say, it's been so incredible to just see everything that you've done in the last couple of months with the like mechanism and tool that is an NFT with your art. And so, yeah, I feel like if I didn't have that moment, that kind of I get it. I don't know. It just like really resonated with me so deeply that it was one of the things that made me truly believe in the space. So yeah, thank
Wow.
you.
I hope has it. I mean, did you start your podcast after we? Did you already have the podcast
No,
before that, or this?
oh my goodness, I have
So the
literally
podcast came out of that. Like, what came out of that?
yes. So I basically did that, kind of committed to the space. I thought, and I think you. I wonder if you might relate to this in your time, kind of in tech, and maybe as an investor as well, which is that it's a lot of things in life come down to this ability to have conviction
Yeah.
and have like a lot of conviction early. And I feel like that was just like one of these events for me that I didn't care if no one else in the world could see it. I thought I could see something. And so I did this fellowship program called Kernel, which is like an online learning community. And then out of that, I started the podcast and I kind of
Wow.
started writing and tweeting and all that sort of stuff. So literally everything came after that. So yeah.
It's funny when we have. There's a term in these self-help books and Tony Robbins kind of vibe. They call it absolute certainty, and it's this concept of just knowing that you have to go down a certain path and whatever means necessary, getting to that mental place where it sounds like maybe my tweet influenced you, but it sounded like you were doing a lot of work yourself to like discover what your path was next. But as soon as you flip that switch of like, this is what I'm doing, I'm committed to this space, I'm doing like, I was raising money for a startup at the beginning of the year this year, and I
Mhm.
wasn't able to do it. And part of that was pretty, I don't know, it kind of sucked. I mean, I got like 40 or 50 no's, spent 3 months, a lot of VCs. I thought that the idea was really good and the concept was good. Had it all branded and built out, but had a team, had, 7 or 8 people ready to hop on with me. But I couldn't get funding for the startup. And I started, I've painted for about 10 years and I always do it just for myself because it's a really great way to de-stress and over the years started selling a lot of paintings. But for me, it's funny because that same time you said I'm going to commit to this space is about the same time I said I need to commit to art, which is hard from coming from a tech background where there's abundant jobs. There's a lot of prosperity in tech. It's easy to make a lot. I should say easy, but you can make a lot of money. It's kind of guaranteed, it's safe. And it's been very up and down emotionally the last 4 or 5 months. I mean, crypto went down at one point. I mean, I'm like, whoa. And like I had all my earnings in crypto, and it's very weird. Even right now, everything, we will probably get into it, but I got scammed last week on a pretty sophisticated scam, lost a lot of money, uh, made it back on Sunday.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And it's like down and up and down. And it feels so Wild West. The software hasn't really caught up.
Hmm.
Socially, we haven't really caught up. There's all these terms and ways of doing things that it's just there's no easy answers. You can't Google. These are not things you can Google
Right.
and find out. You have to like have trusted friends and community to kind of like explain how to mint an NFT or
Hmm.
make a contract or where to do it. Why is one platform better than another? What should you make? What should you create? It's so overwhelming,
Hmm.
actually. So for me, I dipped in, I dipped out, I dipped in. And when I'm feeling that uncertainty, I kind of say, okay, let's just make a painting. We know how to do that. Let's go make a physical painting and let's just start there. Let's make a drawing
Yeah.
and we'll see what we because otherwise I end up wasting time in like 10 or 15 discords
Hmm.
reading everything and that's not good. You're leaking energy at that point.
Yeah.
You're leaking energy out to other people's problems or other people's situations. Even with the scam, I was like, okay, I can't spin here. I can't like go on a quest.
Yeah.
It's not my job to stop scams on the internet.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend my time doing that. Um, but I did put some tweets together like here's some safety tips. I did file stuff with, OpenSea and Discord and made as much of a ruckus as I could without bleeding too much. But I already feel depleted. Like I'm like, okay, I need to get back to art and need to get back to working.
Yeah. I
Um,
I can't
yeah.
imagine a better kind of subject matter to paint than like the ocean for being in this space. Like the fact that you have this as your anchor is is like so incredible because like literally, what you're talking about, riding the waves of crypto is
Yeah.
I literally actually just explained it to someone the other day. I said, okay, so I feel like real life is like you're in a swimming pool. I think maybe kind of what you're talking about with tech. You like turn up every day. It's still,
Hmm.
it's 25 degrees. I don't know what temperature pools are, and that's just like the way.
Celsius.
Yeah, Celsius. Sorry.
That's
And
okay. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that you're not swimming in a 25-degree pool because that'd be ice in Fahrenheit and you die.
and it's very predictable, and you know what you're going to get for like the next 30
Yeah.
years. Whereas like to me, crypto is like being in the ocean, which is that
Yeah.
you are in there. It's very changeable, like one day to the next, even within a given season, whether we're in a bull market or a bear market, there are still like unexpected events that happen and things like that. And just like getting used to the idea of like being like water and rolling with it. Like you said, conserving your energy, like knowing when to expend your
Well,
energy.
yeah, let's even get a little more detailed on that. I used to live on the north shore of Oahu, one of the Hawaiian islands, and I lived at a place called Sunset Beach. Sunset is a wonderful big wave surfing spot. There's some classics like Waimea, Pipeline. Sunset is one of these kind of seminal places. And when you start learning to surf kind of the bigger waves, there's a community of folks out there. They notice when they notice newcomers and whatnot. And I was lucky enough to have a guy kind of say, "Hey, you need to do breath hold training. Notice you've been out surfing in some bigger stuff, and there's a group of us that get together and we train for breath holds because obviously when the waves are big and you wipe out, you're held under for a very very long time." And one of the things that they train you in, there's all sorts of fascinating stuff. Like for example, if you breathe out all your air and deplete all your oxygen, you can actually hold your breath probably right now if you tried for probably about 35 or 40 seconds. So you learn all these little things because if the air gets knocked out of you, you don't panic. So like, okay, I know I got 30 seconds of air. But the biggest thing they teach you, of course, is that like even though you're out in the lineup with like 30 or 40 other people surfing, you are on your own. You know, and with crypto, it's the same. Even if you're out there making NFTs and you are you're a sovereign person unto yourself, and you really have to, kind of breathe up. You have to really commit the time to understand security, understand what's going on. And I was one winter we were out there, and it was a big swell, and I saw a man drop in, and at the bottom of the wave, huge wave, 30-foot face or so, and he wiped out. And I kind of was looking back, and I ended up popping up. He had a yellow helmet on. He popped up and seemed to be okay. He was getting his board. And I looked out to the horizon. There were just stacks of waves. I mean, 10, 12, 15 waves. And I'm like, all right, that poor guy is going to just be taking him on the head. But this is common, so you train for these things. So, but about 15 minutes later, next thing I know, I see the water safety patrol out there on a jet ski, and they're pulling his body out. And I'll never forget it, because it's impossible to go save somebody. You're not going to put yourself in danger. And it was a pretty sobering moment, even with all the breath hold training. And that the man who passed, I think he was around 50 or so, very seasoned surfer, very, knew what he was doing. And similar to these crypto scams, I mean, there's a lot of folks who've been scammed. I was scammed on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. There were just more tweets of people who
Totally.
had really expensive NFTs stolen out of their wallets, whether they were, no one lost a CryptoPunk, but a bunch of people lost some apes,
Yeah.
the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and some other really high profile. So anyway, I guess that's just a long story to share that. Yeah, you unfortunately are still very much on your own. If your debit card gets stolen, you can call a bank. If your crypto gets stolen, you can't call anybody. There's nothing you can really do. I think Coinbase and Binance and Gemini, the exchanges, I think have some forms of insurance, but even there, I don't know. Actually, I really. And by the way, just anything I share on crypto today, like, it is not investment advice. It is not anything
Absolutely.
like that. Yeah, I'm learning as fast as I possibly can, and the space is changing dramatically every day, as quick, very, very quickly. So if you're listening, please take that into consideration.
Yeah. And I wondered, just before we kind of go back to last Thursday, if, just from earlier in the year when you kind of made that commitment to art and discovered NFTs, like what that journey has been like for you, and experimenting with, working that into a way that you
Someone,
express yourself.
yeah, I had a good friend just call me up and say, hey, you should. My friend Harper called me and he said, hey, have you heard of NFTs? I'm like, no. He's like, you need to stop what you're doing and make an NFT. I said, okay, what are you talking about? He's like, take a picture of one of your paintings and mint it. I'm like, what? Like peppermint it? Like, what are you talking about? Mint it? What do you like? Add it to the blockchain. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And he's like, go get Rainbow Wallet. I'm like, what? Rainbow Wallet? Yes, it's on your phone. I'm like, okay, not on Amazon. I was going to order an Amazon wallet. He's like, no, silly. It's a crypto wallet. I'm like, okay, I got my Rainbow Wallet. Now what? Okay, now you need to buy Ethereum or Ether. And I'm like, how do I do that? And so, like, literally, I didn't know anything. And so he's like walking me
Wow.
through this stuff. I took a picture of one of my paintings, animated it, made a little movie file, and uploaded my first NFT over to Zora. Cora was the first place I put an NFT. And I tweeted it, and it sold in like a heartbeat. And I was like, and I think it sold here. Actually, I can look because I don't actually know. It didn't sell for a lot. I think someone should go find it and resell it because it's probably worth something.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I saw those pieces because did they go for like an ETH or around an ETH?
all my pieces on Foundation have gone above that. The very first piece I minted, though, it's called Your Self Wave. This is so weird. And it sold for 0.05, 150 USD.
Oh my God. I remember seeing this and I was literally trying. So I feel like I get things first and then my husband gets them a little bit later because he's a much more reasonable, logical person than I
Yeah.
am. And And I was like trying to convince him. I was like, no, this is incredible. And I remember seeing that price and I knew that I was going to regret that one day.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
incredible.
Well, so
Wow.
that's so interesting. I should tell the person who, yeah, because now we're making C sketches that are going for
Hmm.
5 ETH, which is, I don't, it's pretty phenomenal, pretty amazing actually. But there's a few, but it's no different. The thing about this is it's no different than selling art normally. It's no different
Okay.
than making a company normally, or branding, or creating something that people want and they want to use.
Hmm.
Um, Part of the reason I think that, I don't know. I mean, we can dive into that a little bit more. So yeah, back I got the Rainbow Wallet, I did a thing, and then I sold another one on Zora, and the second one went for 1 ETH. The
Hmm.
se- and it was bought by, um, yeah, who owns it now? Oh, Eric Nakagawa, who is a person I knew. He's a friend actually, and I think that was a gift, right? Because at the time ETH was $1,500,
Hmm.
and I was just blown away. I was like, wow, that's so kind of you. I felt like it was charity.
Hmm.
And then he sent me a note. He's like, no, dude, it's not charity. Like, one of your normal paintings in real life is really, I can't afford it. But if
Hmm.
I can get this NFT and support you in your journey, then that's what I'm willing to do. And that's when I got the sense, I felt so like lucky, and just blessed to have this conversation with a collector. And he's like, keep going. Like, this is a thing, by the way. So had I not sold the first two, I probably, I wouldn't have kept going at all.
Wow.
Even the first one for $150, I was so excited. I was like, what? You just paid $150 for a JPEG that I had laying on my computer? It was an old painting, a painting I had sold, So, and so from there, Foundation got legs. Someone else told me, said, okay, you need to be, the marketplace that you mint on is very important because
Hmm.
it tells the rest of the world what kind of artist you are. And so at the time, Foundation was invite only. I don't love that. I don't love like a velvet rope and a kind of a vibe of like you can't sit with us.
Hmm.
However, the buyer needs to know that this has been vetted and curated, and this
Hmm.
is, we've done some work here to know that this artist is of a certain quality, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, and then the foundation pieces did really well, and I was like, I still shocked actually, and I felt guilty. One of them
Wow.
sold for 2.5 ETH, and I felt really, really guilty. The When it sold for 2.5, I just was just like that. I sold the painting that I made for that. I sold it for $2,500,
Right.
which to me is wonderful. Like I'm very happy making $2,000 or $3,000 paintings all day long. Like I'll do
Hmm.
that till I die, and it's very lovely. But to spend so what's 2.5 ETH right now? That's
Oh my
almost,
gosh.
is that $7,500 or
Yeah.
so? Or I
I
don't
think
I
it's
don't know
about
what
that.
the, so someone paid $7,000 for this MP4. And I just was like, what is going on? And I did another one, and then another one went for 3 ETH. And I was like, what is happening? And then I finally realized, like, oh, this is a transparent marketplace
Hmm.
that other person was comfortable buying for 3 ETH because they saw the other one go for 2.5. And then it all just clicked because with my paintings, it's not transparent like what I charge,
Hmm.
and like there's a painting over here on the wall. It's pretty big actually. I don't know if you can see it
Wow.
over there.
Yes.
That's when I painted in real time and sold as an NFT, and that is the physical. And the collector actually lives down here in Southern California, and they came by the house, and he's moving, so I'm holding it for him. But he was, I met him. Like I met the guy. Like bought that for 3 ETH. Had I sold that to him, I would sell a painting that size for probably about $6,000, maybe
Hmm.
$7,000. But at 3 ETH, it's going, for nine, close to nine, close to 10,000, right? I don't
Wow.
even know what ETH is. So it's just done this funny thing to pricing, and it's done this funny thing to my head, and it's given me the confidence to charge what I think I'm worth. I think that's really hard as an artist. You don't really know what you're worth, and you can spin a lot on that. So that's been kind of helpful. And there's no argument about it. You can look up everything on the blockchain. You can see that the work has a certain what the floor price is on things, and I love that. I
Yeah.
think it's important to have that accountability back and forth. So feel free to interject questions.
Oh my
Otherwise, I'll
goodness.
just keep kind of
Yeah,
rambling along.
absolutely. So I wonder in terms of, your latest release with the sketches, because you've kind of evolved. I can like see the evolution from like taking a digital piece and selling it to
Yeah.
like the a represent the picture of the physical piece and also including the physical piece. And then I saw your latest like video on this latest drop, the sketches. And so I wonder if you could kind of talk about that, because now I feel like you're like really playful almost, like, and like totally leaning into like what is possible with it. And I think they're just such cool ideas. And so I wonder, can you just tell me a little bit more?
Someone told me, yeah. So when I started releasing NFTs, and I say if you buy this NFT, you get the physical painting. I had a lot of people in my DM saying, we don't want the physical painting.
Did they say
We
that?
just want the
Oh my
NFT.
god.
Oh yeah.
Okay, this is making me feel like too
And
much of a boomer.
and then I had another artist say, your physical painting is taking down the value of your NFTs. Cut it out. Decouple them. They're different things.
Wow.
And I was shocked. I was really shocked to hear that. And then, yeah, and so I reached out to a few collectors and talked to them on DMs. I'm like, do you like having the physical? And they're like, nah, not really. I don't need to do it. I don't put it in my house. I don't really need it, because they really believe in the value of the physical of the NFT. They want to show it off in their avatar, in their virtual galleries. They want to say that they own a Hemeon, and they want me to continue as an artist to add value to their work by putting out more work, so that they can. I don't think people really want to flip too much, but it certainly is nice if you know that there's liquidity in someone you're collecting. 3 ETH, 2 ETH is 2 ETH. It's still a lot of money. And I really I have just a deep amount of gratitude and respect for anyone who's spent any amount of crypto on anything I've made. I don't let myself go to the world like, oh yeah, maybe they, made all their crypto in 2015. So with the latest drop, what I tried to figure out was, I'm like, okay, there's people that want just NFTs, and there's people who like the NFT and the physical. There's also 500 million NFT projects going on. So yeah, I have to be different and do something unique. And right when I was minting, I just thought about like, well, okay, I won't promise a painting with every sketch, but I kind of will. So if you have one of these projects, Sketches of the Sea, there's 25 sketches. If you own one of the sketches, I'm building a little site. You'll be able to come, authenticate that you own one, and then you'll be able to request a painting. But I get the feeling that, Alicia, that maybe that half the people aren't going to even request a painting.
Oh my
And in
goodness.
fact, when I dropped it on Sunday, I sold them each for 1 ETH, and 5 people flipped them for 5 ETH like that.
Wow.
So, that tells me all I kind of need to know. Like, they don't care about the physical. They just care, it's almost speculative buying. It's almost like they're day traders or something. I'm not sure. So, I don't know. I like giving the physical. I think it's important, but who knows? I organized. I have a lot of different art styles, and so I put together a deck, and I'm just thinking through kind of like what I should do next. I would love to do a generative art project with waves and motion and currents. I would, because these projects on art blocks are selling out in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
I wish I was like a pure artist and just said, I'm just going to make what I want to make, but my brain doesn't think like that. I do think about, how can I support my family with this? How can I support my collectors? How can I make good decisions about the work, maintain scarcity, but still have, still stay top of mind for people without being obnoxious about it. It's so hard to like not be a spaz in the space.
I
You
feel
want
like
to be like, look at me.
I feel like especially for artists, for so long, I don't even know how far this mindset goes back. That this kind of idea of like the starving artist, and just how NFTs have completely flipped that. That now, all of these people that were traders, like crypto traders from like the 2017 bull market and this year, are rotating, not going from like one
Hmm.
cryptocurrency into another, they're rotating into NFTs. And so you're just like, wow, it's really a thing. And there is the art, and like you said, I think there is this also the speculation layer, but yeah, the transparency of prices and like really turning this into a market, un- similar to other kind of financial markets. If you're open to that, then I guess there is a lot of financial upside for artists, and that can only be good.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things NFTs unlocked was getting royalty payments off of your future sales, and that is just beautiful. I
Yeah.
mean, there are so many living artists who their work gets bought by a private collector. That private collector holds on to it for 5 or 6 years. They have a very wide network. They convince Christie's or Sotheby's to auction the work, and that money does not go back to the original artist. It goes to the collector,
Yeah.
and the collector's network, and there's definitely a lot of money that is made in art that never gets back to the original artist.
Yeah.
It's like there's plenty of paintings, Basquiat paintings that were purchased very low. I mean, he's not with us anymore, so it's probably not the best example. But there are plenty of artists who their piece gets purchased for $10,000, $20,000. They blow up, and then their pieces are at 500, a million at auction within a private collection kind of ecosystem that's hard to penetrate. So NFTs no longer. I mean, if you sell it, like I sold one of those sketches at 1 ETH, it resold at 5 to someone else. Good for that person who resold it. They just made 4 Ether. They're like, holy crap! How did I just make 4 Ether on Hemeon's sketch? That collector's pumped up. But then I got a 10%, royalty payment on that, which
Wow.
was nice, zero point 0.5. Is that right? Yeah. That's crazy. Like, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And so the incentives are aligned to continue to do NFT work, but it is, yeah, it's so competitive. Like, I have to turn everything off and just ignore everything. I don't look at Instagram anymore. I don't even like looking at Twitter. Like, I'll do my tweets and then I'll turn it off because it's too distracting. There's
Yeah.
too much information. And I just want to come back here and, just draw stuff and make
Wow.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
And so I wonder in terms of like the competition and how I guess it's like turning every artist into that kind of startup mindset, like that like you said, you've got like the market and the brand, you need an audience and all that sort of stuff. And so how do you like how do you feel about just the people that are kind of getting in to ride the wave with NFTs versus like where artists stand, and even maybe just like the education of artists up until this point, which is that like focus on the art, not on the business, and what that looks like going forward.
Well, here we are in August. So yeah, I think you and I have both kind of been in this space for about the same amount of time, right? About February,
Yeah,
March.
that's right.
February is such a weird word. I actually don't know the right way to say it. Like it's spelled weird.
Totally.
Wednesday is also spelled so weird. I don't even get it. But I don't have the time. I get hit up every day by artists who ask me these questions. How do I find an audience? How do I mint an NFT? Should I do it on OpenSea? Should I do it on Foundation? And I'm choosing not. Old Mark would have jumped at the chance to shepherd new people on to platforms and different things. Crypto is so complicated and there's so much to learn that I feel like I feel like I would be robbing people of a rite of passage. Uh, I feel like you need to go through the discovery and the pain of learning all this stuff kind of on your own, so it really sticks and you really kind of form your own opinions. I'm happy to say, I'm happy to kind of be like, man, if you can get on super rare, that's great, or known origin, or these kind of really special places, go. Like, I can give people high level advice and I'll do it through Twitter, but one-on-one is really challenging. Like it's
Hmm.
really hard to, because especially if I give you advice and you don't follow it, I feel kind of resentful. I'm like, why'd you ask
Hmm.
me? If I give you advice and you follow it and it turns out bad for you, you know, I
Hmm.
have a friend, she's putting up an NFT project right now. It's going to cost her probably $1,500 to mint everything and get it going. And she's having a hard time. Like she's like, how am I going to like I have to risk $1,500 to sell, you know,
Hmm.
20 of these NFTs. And fortunately or unfortunately, to play in the NFT game, you need some money. It
Hmm.
does come from a place of privilege. I do recognize that. And that's kind of one of the challenges with NFT world. But there are other platforms like I don't know how to say it properly. Hic et Nunc is a much
Okay.
cheaper place to mint, and it has a wonderful community around it. Um, there are little things popping up left and right, but even then, it's like it's
Mhm.
a lot to understand because they have a different cryptocurrency. They use Tezos, Tezos.
Right.
Like I don't even know how to even say it properly. Uh, and um, and I'm also very okay with knowing I don't know anything. Like when I
Hmm.
shared my scam on Thursday, I had a lot of people telling me I was a fucking idiot and it's my fault, and that's how it goes. And welcome to crypto. You shouldn't. I've had a lot of people say you shouldn't even be in crypto because it's not for you. You're not worthy. You haven't put in
Oh.
the time, and you shouldn't even be here. And so, but that, I mean, I don't care because it's just like they're right, and that's okay, and I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay saying, yeah, I made some, because the mistakes I made were social. They were from social engineering, and
Hmm.
they weren't. They were my mistakes. I exposed, unfortunately, my MetaMask secret phrase unknowingly, of course. MetaMask had a thing where you could scan a QR code. I thought I was on support with OpenSea. I thought it was official people. They were telling me to
Yeah.
resync my crypto wallet with OpenSea. And they invited me to a live screen. They're like, oh, it was a screen share and like walking through it. And they're really nice. They were actually complimenting my NFTs. They're asking
Hmm.
about my family. They're like,
Oh my
talking about
goodness.
the drop. They're like, oh, we're so excited. When are you going to drop it? It was crazy. And then like, oh man, there's something wrong with like your OpenSea is not quite it's not synced with MetaMask properly, so we're concerned like when you mint everything, it won't show up. So I was like, whoa, I want it. Anyway, so like just click this thing and I expose the QR code of my MetaMask just for a second, and
Hmm.
and like, okay, I think we got it. And then I literally watched my wallet go to zero. And I was like, whoa, I was like, you guys, why did my wallet just go to zero? And they're like, well, oh, don't worry about that. It'll come back in a second. That's like because of OpenSea's like smart contract. They like said something crazy, and whatever they said, I'm like, I knew enough about crypto. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? Like, I'm not. I was like because I had minted my stuff on my own contract with through Nifty Kit,
Right.
and I'm like, I'm not using your smart contract. Like what? Like I don't know what you guys are talking about, but that crypto needs to come back in ASAP. Yeah, hold on. Let us work on it. Hold on. And then like 2 seconds later, they're like, "We got you, motherfucker!" And like yelled at me and like hung up. And I was just like, "Whoa, did that just happen?" Because anyway, it was wild. It was so wild. That's the high
Oh my
level of
goodness.
it.
Wow. So you were in the Discord for open with the OpenSea Discord trying to get some customer support, which I think
Yeah,
a lot of people are going through at the moment. So and
yeah.
like you said, like over the last 2 weeks, the scams with the QR code on MetaMask have just this it's so
So
prolific. Like
yeah, so the way it works, by the way, on Reddit, Twitter DMs, any place where you're kind of like you're saying, "Hi, I'm a person in crypto." You are exposing yourself to scammers sending you a DM. And this is what
Mhm.
happened. Like, so for Discord, at least now, turn off all your DMs. You can DM with your
Totally.
friends who you love and know, but everything
Mhm.
else, turn it off. And they're able to spoof the usernames with Unicode
Mhm.
characters. Um, but to be frank, OpenSea could have done a lot more. I sent them a really long email on Friday, like do all
Mhm.
these things. There are characters you can put into admins' names and then block. I mean, there's all these little things that they were not doing. I checked yesterday. They have been doing a lot more of them. Some of the problems, though, are, and I don't know the answers. There was a guy
Mhm.
who lost a ton of NFTs yesterday or 2 days ago. They all hit the open market and they all got bought. So
Oh,
this other guy chimes in. He goes, "Hey, I just spent $300,000 on NFTs on OpenSea. Now my account is frozen. What's happening? Oh my God, I bought stolen assets." But he didn't know. He found some
right.
apes and he spent, so
Yeah.
now he this other person, he's not even getting scammed. He's just like at the end of this unfortunate journey, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure I don't know the rules on that. I mean, there are
Mhm.
lawyers and people kind of tweeting and kind of jumping in. I don't really know what the rules are or anything, but again, back to my surfing story,
Mhm.
things happen, and you have to just be as prepared as possible. Have a hardware wallet. It's funny. I have my hardware wallet right here. I connect to my computer. I use one computer now for crypto. It stays at home. It stays, in a safe. So if you know my address, don't come by. You will not like it. But I mean, I just like there's a bunch of little things I changed
Mhm.
from that behavior, and it is unfortunate because when you know what you don't know, that's what's really frustrating. Like you don't even does that make sense? It's just like until someone tells you not to walk down the street at night, you don't know that walking down the street at night can be potentially dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's and it was hard because OpenSea, their attitude back was really they were just like, hey, you should have known better. Don't expose your wallet. I'm like, I get that, but I thought I was like talking to you guys. Like,
Yeah.
I thought you invited me, and I said this to Alex, a co-founder. I was like, what this feels like is you invited me over into your home for dinner, and the people in the dinner party were a bunch of thieves, and
Yeah.
they like beat me up and took my money, and now I'm like, why do you have thieves in your house?
Mhm.
And you're telling me it's my fault, you know? Because I went to dinner at your house and I trusted you and you beat the crap out of me. And now you're saying, well, you should have known that my friends are gangsters and like tough guys. And I'm like, that doesn't even track.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it's also this conditioning with traditional tech where there is always like a middleman, there is someone to kind of restore, whatever value has been lost, at least in some sense. And, it's completely normal to, and this is why there are scams in the physical world as well, but like it's completely normal to like jump on a phone call with your bank and like give them very privileged information. And so I guess, coming into the space and coming from, years of doing that. And then I guess I wonder as well, just like in terms of the security aspect, because it bleeds into every aspect of crypto.
listen, I had to do a bank thing the other day. I went into the physical bank. I did, and I had to do a thing for my son's school. I could have done it online. I went into the school.
Wow.
I've kind of gone back. Yeah, I'm carrying around a lot of cash. Not a lot of cash, but I'm trying to do things face to face, authentically, so I can really know where things are, not exposing my credit cards. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten really paranoid now, way way more than I ever have been. Don't hit like people. My friends are sending me things on Twitter, like links and stuff. I'm like, I'm not opening it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I tell
Yeah.
me where it is. I'll find it myself, and I do. So I have
Totally.
bookmarks in for OpenSea. I click those. I go search. I'm like, what's the number? Okay, I'll type that in and to find
Yeah.
someone's NFT or something. But anyway, it's unfortunate things go slower, but I think that's what I love about the wallet. It takes me a little bit of extra time to send money here and there. It slows down because the other things those guys told me, just to be really transparent, was they said you need to be, we can get you verified. And I got excited about that. My ego got
Mm-hmm.
excited about that. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That'll help me sell more. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use the word greedy. They got greedy and they preyed on that. So, it's like be very, very self-conscious about what your motivations are in any given situation so that you can kind of pull back and not get hurt, not get scammed. And it goes through
Yeah.
for everything. It goes through for like relationships with our friends and coworkers, with our partners, with our families. This people pleasing or this kind of like, opportunistic thinking as a human is very deep inside of us. We're creatures, you know, we're like made to
Hmm.
survive. We're made to like not die. And so everything about us is to protect ourselves.
Hmm.
And the biggest piece of that is our ego, and our ego gets in the way a lot of times. And my ego definitely kind of got the best of me. Like, oh, will I be able to sell better if I'm
Hmm.
verified? You know, and I shouldn't have done that. You know, I shouldn't have gotten caught up in that. And that's, you know, another lesson learned.
Yeah. I think that
So,
ability to zoom out and like stay anchored to whatever gives you that perspective is really difficult in crypto.
mhm.
And like you said, I can imagine that, you know, everyone experiences it in different parts of their life, but like in crypto in particular, it feels like there is such a pull. And I think as well, because there is no middleman in a lot of instances, things happen very quickly. So like that moment when you jumped like from a Discord into
Mm,
something else, like
minutes.
it literally happens in minutes, and
Yeah.
so it's really hard to kind of gain that perspective when it's happening so quickly. So yeah, I wonder as well, like, how do you feel about the protocols and the projects in the space and like their responsibility? Is it different to Web 2 and just traditional tech? Or like, you know, we talk about community and crypto all the time, but I mean, everyone has to come to the party.
There was, I worked at YouTube for a bit, and early YouTube, 2011, 2012. We didn't have YouTube for kids. We did have a team that dealt with bad content. You know, you could flag and report stuff. But one of the reasons, and roll with me on this, I'm kind of going to answer this
Hmm.
in a bit of a roundabout way. You know, one of the reasons YouTube is alive and well and successful today is because they invented something called Content ID, which would allow for YouTube to identify a piece of music or a piece of content, a copyrighted piece of music, and give it back to and assign it to its rightful owner. That came out of a Viacom lawsuit and a bunch of stuff. And so now today, if you upload a YouTube video and it has um, a Bob Dylan song on it, YouTube says, "Hey, there's a Bob Dylan song on it. You can upload it, but we're going to credit Bob Dylan's account. And if you run ads against it or this goes viral, you will not make
Hmm.
money on this. This will go to the Bob Dylan of the world." Because they did that, it solved a huge problem. And now there's tons of content on YouTube, and people can uh, make money off their work, and that was very good.
Hmm.
The but but what that provoked was this idea of what is your responsibility as a platform, as a software service. We used to have things like 4chan out there, even early Reddit. OnlyFans obviously was in the news recently.
Hmm.
There are these beliefs that say the internet is free and wide and open, and
Hmm.
if someone's using your platform for terrorism or for bad things or porn or whatever it might be, then it's on the users' shoulders to not look at that stuff, not be exposed. So, and YouTube had a bit of this attitude in 2011, like, listen, we're a massive platform. We can't possibly be held accountable for everything
Hmm.
that gets uploaded here. Fast forward to 2021, I can't even say the word COVID without getting some fucking block up on Instagram. I can't even ask the
Right.
question if I wanted to. I couldn't even say, "Hey guys, I don't understand about vaccines. Can you guys please talk to me about it? I'd like to learn more." I can't
Hmm.
even, like, I'm nervous to say that because I think I'll like, and rightly so. So with the Trump era and all sorts of stuff, all these platforms of the last 3 years have taken a responsibility like, oh my God, we are responsible for what
Hmm.
happens here. We are responsible for a riot being caused in some country or for leaders getting over. I mean, so that's my long winded answer to say this: being a decentralized platform does not alleviate you from the
Hmm.
responsibility to your community. And the reason the OpenSea thing, scam thing, was so hurtful to me is because when I like got into it a little bit, one of the things one of the reps told me was like, well, we said in our Discord 2 days before you got scammed, we said don't click on links and we said don't click on QR codes. And I just couldn't help but fire back. I'm like, if you knew your house was compromised,
Mm-hmm.
why did you not close the doors of your house? Turn off your
Mm-hmm.
Discord for a few days. You're not going to, fix your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until literally 4 or 5 like folks who lost 500,000, way more than I lost over the last few
Mm-hmm.
days. It wasn't until
Yeah.
those folks kind of spoke up that they started showing some leadership, and they pressured MetaMask, they pressured Discord, and that's what has to happen. It's not just
Yeah.
on OpenSea's shoulders. It's like it's across all these things. But but the tone I got back felt very much like this decentralization does not mean that there is no responsibility, nor is there any accountability. I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
dangerous slope that we may go down.
Yeah, I definitely think that this idea that there are kind of moral norms that need to be enforced, and I guess because the space is so new, I wonder how that will play out with the community kind of
Mm.
having this expectation and making it a norm for these platforms. But it is a really interesting kind of exercise to think about it. I guess the most painful thing is that, like, if we learn from pain, this idea of like DYOR, do your own research, and like you have to go through the pain of like minting something or spending way too much on gas fees to like learn about it so you can amend amend the transaction before it just gets signed, then these platforms have to go through the pain, but the pain doesn't hurt them nearly as much as it hurts these individuals who are in the system who have to suffer for this evolution.
Yeah,
So it's like really, yeah.
as more people get into the space and things become more mainstream, I mean, what's gonna be interesting is there's NFT platforms now that are going to be dealing in US, just USD, and
Mm-hmm.
that's going to feel very different when you type in
Mm-hmm.
your credit card and you spend $15,000 on an NFT. That feels different than 5 Ethereum. It just
Yeah.
does, and I think it does partly because of our relationship with crypto. It feels more out there. It's not, money is something we've all held. We can hold dollars in our hand. We know how this stuff
Mm-hmm.
works. That's how our jobs pay us. We understand its transactional value. We have almost an hourly rate in our mind of what we're
Mm-hmm.
all worth. And but crypto doesn't have that same. We don't have that same relationship. I don't at least. I don't have that same relationship with crypto. Um, it feels a little bit more like casino chips. There
Right.
feels like less of an emotional attachment to it. And I'm trying to get a deeper. I want to have a more emotional relationship with it so I can be smarter with it. Um, but to your point, unfortunately, yeah, you can. I don't know. I tell kids not to touch the stove, but they still touch it, you know,
Yeah.
and they get burned. And can we make better stoves? Can we make better pots? Is it the stove company's fault that you didn't listen to me and you burned your hand? Not necessarily, but are there better handles we can make? Is there a
Mm-hmm.
proximity detector we can put outside the oven that shows like, oh, someone's walking up to it that's only 3 feet tall, so like turn off the gas? I mean, there are things we can do. Like there's that table saw. If your finger just touches it, it stops immediately, so
Mm-hmm.
you don't get your finger chopped off. So there are these things that can be done, and they probably should be done. It sucks. It would have been better for OpenSea to be like, "Oh my God, we had no idea. We're so sorry this happened to you." But instead, they're like, "Oh yeah, we knew about this. That sucks. You should have known better." I'm like, if you knew about it, if you know something, say something.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I don't want to give it a lot.
I.
Like after we do this podcast, and I'm not going to talk much more about it because I have to. Our energy is finite. It is
Mm-hmm.
very limited, and if we put our energy out into other people and other places, we're distracting from the real work that we are supposed to be here to do. And it's so easy to do that because working's hard. I'm like sketching while we're
Mm-hmm.
talking, but like because I like feel like I gotta work. But I think it's important for people to pull their energy back in and pour it into the thing that they deeply care about and want to participate in. And I don't want scam energy. I don't want to be part
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
scammers. I don't want that to be my story. I don't want to, because like whatever you identify with, you get that you're part of that energy for a while, you know? So
Completely.
if I'm scammer energy, I'm part of that. I'm one of these people that it's like mad at, and you know, and that's not me. I'm an artist. I want to make art, make cool shit, and put it out there and have it, you know, evoke emotion and happiness. That's what I want. I'm like, yeah, Mark's an artist. Not, oh, he's that guy
Hmm.
I got scammed on Discord. So I actually have to kind of figure out a little bit, some little PR. And it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
anyway, does
I've
that make
just been
sense?
absolutely. I was going to say that I have been saying something to myself like just over the last couple of months. I think it's actually this pain of like not jumping on the biggest thing. You know, when you're like there for an NFT drop and you're like you're in the Discord and you don't buy
What did
for
that
one reason
happen?
or another.
Where did that happen for you? Where did that happen?
Like literally last Friday with Oni. And so yeah, I was like there
With which
and
project? Which project got you?
um so I mean I think
Excuse me.
it's let me just find the
Well, what was it? Was it like
open.
a was it a PFP
It's a PF.
project?
It's like a P. It is like a PFP project. But the Discord is like an it's an amazing community of people who are kind of both experienced and new to the space. It's
Yeah.
an artist who kind of teamed up with people who have been in the NFT space for a long time. Their Discord is just like the most good vibes that you could kind of
Oh.
find in crypto. And they are, I don't know, just like in terms of a community, I feel like they're kind of really diverse and inclusive and kind of commercially, I think, as
Hmm.
well, like commercially minded in terms of like thinking of ways to constantly add value over a long period of time to a project that is based on art. And so, yeah, so I try to say to myself, only good comes to me, which is just that, you
Only
know,
good comes to
whenever,
me. Mm.
yeah, because I just think like, you know, if you look back at your life and you are okay with it, like you don't have regrets or you don't, you know, you kind of trust that the dots connect and all that sort of good
Hmm.
stuff. You realize that in the moment it felt like pain, but it led you to something else. And so I try to just do that and just like have the perspective that,
Yeah, I just wrote that down. I like that. Only good comes to me. And for
yeah.
those who don't know, PFP means a profile picture project, or also known as an avatar project. Not trying not to come off as mansplaining, but just sharing for all our friends
Absolutely.
listening in Oklahoma or Kansas. Although, you know, I'm sure there's people in Oklahoma and Kansas who like have a giant Bitcoin mine set up in their backyard and are like killing it. I have to say, this has been this era of whatever this is, Web3, NFT land, whatever. I've gone to a few meetups. It really feels
Yeah.
like 1979 Apple Computer Club. Like there
Wow.
are some characters and it is
Uh-huh.
amazing. It's like some of the best, you know, people like there's one guy like I was like, I think he gave a little talk like, can we get a picture? You're so smart. He's like, no pictures ever. I'm like, okay, keep it tight. I get it. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. And he had like these kind of like smoky glasses, and he just seemed really
Wow.
mysterious. And like I feel like people like that. I'm like, you have $1 billion in crypto, don't you? Like, just tell me the truth. Um, yeah. What do you think is going to be kind of the next? I think the Avatar PFP projects are. I found one yesterday. These bears that I love, the bear bums.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and I just minted two of them. But then I got in the Discord and people are like, you know, it's hard that it's there were 10,000 of them, but there's 6,000 left to mint. And I'm like, whoa, is the project? Did I just buy into a dead project? But I bought it because I thought the bears were cool looking. That's the only way. I just buy
Yeah.
stuff because I think it's rad looking. And the founder is a husband and wife team. They're really sweet. They plant trees every time you buy a bear, and I thought that was really cool. But
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think is going to be kind of the next trend or vibe or whatever?
Yeah, I'm really interested in just, I guess, I know we talk about the bell curve, like that meme of the bell curve in crypto a lot, like being on the left of the bell curve and the right of the bell curve, and you win. If you're in the middle, then you just feel pain. And you know, I personally love crypto because I've like never been more sure that I'm on the left and I'm like completely at home here. And but I think, you know, even just like Visa buying a crypto punk
Hmm.
and, you know, Zuck and the like his metaverse and what that looks like. I think it will be really interesting to see what happens when the middle arrives in crypto,
Mm.
because and whether again like those social norms play out. But obviously there are so much room to grow, and there is so much of the world who has no idea of what the space is, and even if they do, how to get into it, because the barriers to entry I think are still like very high.
Well, yeah. I mean, all my friends. I have a lot of friends who work in tech who are very smart and should be way on top of this, and they're just not. They're like, oh, I need to find some time to like sit down and learn about all this. And I I don't know what to tell them. You know, everyone's like, where do I start? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't. There's no book. Make an NFT, try
Yeah,
it. Go to Zora and mint one for 0.05 and see what happens.
yeah,
See that you have to pay
yeah.
$100 in
So
gas and see like what that the heck that is all about and how upsetting that is.
that is just the most painful thing, going to that website where you can see all the gas that you've spent from your wallet over
No,
time.
wait, where is it? Tell me.
Don't, no,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
How much gas have you spent? Oh, I
Okay,
found it.
so I think it's fees.wtf. This is some real pain, Mark. I don't know if you want to do this.
Yes, I do. I totally
Oh my
do.
goodness.
Connect the MetaMask wallet. Oh, see, this is where they get you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's upsetting.
Oh my gosh. Wait till Ethereum's at 10K, then you'll really be upset. Yeah. So fees and stuff like that will be like definitely interesting in the future. I just imagine how this plays out. It's like your kids will like look at this like fees.wtf and they'll be like, "Wait, you spent how much, Dad?
Well,
That was," and you're like, "It was 2021. I didn't know."
well, I have to tell you what was really hard about that scam thing is I spent half a day just watching their wallets, seeing where my money was going and how it was getting split. And I could tell, oh, here it got split between three people. Oh, that guy he got exactly 33% because that's how the scam goes. Oh, here's the main wallet over here. And here they are, like, because they didn't wash it through like a ton of wallets. They're like not that sophisticated. And I can tell they're eventually going to go back to Coinbase or Binance. And so it's just this
Yeah.
like, oh, and I have a ticket in with Coinbase. I'm like, these are the wallets. They are going to come into you. Stop them. Like, I don't know, you know, when that wallet is going to come into a Coinbase account, that Coinbase account is associated with a person, a human being. There has to be a way to get that. So I don't know. We'll find out. I mean, it would sure. I've just that money's gone. I switched my energy over to all this stuff. I mean, you know, we are talking about it on this podcast, but I don't like. I'm like focused on art. I have some really weird art that I want to put out. That's not anything to do with ocean. I don't know how the world
Wow.
would take it. They're really gnarly. They're very gnarly. It's like they're intense. They're just like super intense pieces, and I'd kind of like to do them on super rare because it's like I really love my art. Like I like the pictures. Like I put them in my home and stuff, and that's why I do them. But they're very approachable. You know, no one ever gets upset. No one's going to get in trouble for bringing home a Hemeon painting. It'll fit in most houses,
Yeah.
and it works. But Hemeon paintings today are not going to get into the MoMA. and they're not, to really get there. And one of the reasons X Copy is such an incredible artist in the NFT space is because their work is evocative, and it's a little bit political, not too much. And I mean, frankly, I don't love the Beeple stuff because it's just too graphic for me. But same thing with Beeple. He goes after political statements. He goes after memes. Like some of the stuff is like pornographic and bloody and gory and scary and like, whoa. But he's fully expressing himself as an artist. He does not care what you or I think about what he's making. And that is very powerful and very cool. So anyway, that's the next phase, is like, how do you go there? How do you unlock that side of things? And then that gets, because it's already nerve wracking putting your art out there. Because if people don't like it and they tell you that, like, it sucks. It's just, they're like, your kids are ugly. You're a bad dad. That's no fun.
Oh my goodness.
That's what it feels like. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I wonder, in terms of having that kind of freedom and flexibility as an artist to experiment with, just like the styles of art that you have compared to in the physical world. Is it more like you have to stay in your lane? Like once you commit to the ocean, you are the ocean painter.
That's what's
versus like with NFTs.
I don't know. Like, I'm gonna send you a slide deck where I sat and I organized all my thoughts. And I have like a project called Block Monsters. That's just a bunch of silly blocks that has nothing to do with, here you are. Let me send that to you. Open that thing up. Are you in front of a computer?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, sorry for hijacking your podcast. If you go to slide, so you can see on slide 5 to 8 or 9 is the next project I'm working on, called Currents. It's just another style I've done. Slide 11 and 12 are the block monsters, which I think would be fun to bring back. Slide 15 is like ASMR paint swatches, which I think would be funny. But then when you get to slide 16, 17, 18, that's my like really scary, heady stuff. Weird stuff.
It's just pulling up. Wow.
Yeah, please don't share this publicly.
Absolutely not.
It's good to.
Wow. This is so interesting as well. I feel like this is also one of the things that excites me the most about crypto, which is that there is room for multiple. I don't actually think it's multiple identities. I think it's like expression of more of your whole self. And so rather than, I'm like so allergic to LinkedIn and having to pick, my mission in life is to never be able to fit my life into a LinkedIn description.
That's good.
But
there's some weird there's some weird stuff in there, though, isn't there?
Yeah. Whoa. But this is really cool.
So if I released all that stuff right now, people will be like, "What? Who? Like, what's going? I don't understand like who you are." So you have to be kind of mindful. I don't know. You got to meet people where they're at.
Really interesting as well. So, if people have this idea of like what a Hemeon is in their head, like, is there potential to create like synonymous identities for other art and stuff like that?
It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. I mean, I have some nicknames and pseudonames. I don't know. I really don't know. But, a lot of artists, if you look back at their work, they did go through phases, and they painted different things. But they do typically kind of, Picasso landed on a style eventually, even though he did Cubism and different things. He kind of went, so I don't know. I have no idea, actually. I'm just going to keep making art. I do think, slide 16, that sketch, the narcissist sucking out of this light being, is very much a representation of things I felt in past relationships and past situations. And so there's stuff like that I think, that I've seen in my head that I can't get out of my head that I would I need to paint anyway, regardless, just to process.
Right.
I grew up very religious. I'm not as much anymore, but I think there's a lot of trauma in that too. And there's things I'd want to paint there too. But it's just like, to what end, you know? See, the ocean is so nice, and maybe the ocean is a distraction from painting the real stuff. And then you got the
Yeah.
block monsters. The block monsters are cute, but there's so many avatar type things. I just am like disinterested, you know?
Yeah. They
So,
are really cute though.
so there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. This
Let me
is,
know if anything in there is cool. Let me know what you think, and we'll experiment.
oh my goodness. It's funny though, even, talking about Picasso settling on a style, I think like, but what if Picasso had like the tools and mechanisms of crypto? Like, would he have experimented? Like, how much can we
That's
rely on what the past has done?
mm,
Because, yeah.
that's such a good point. That's such a good point. I just so you know, I do have to do a call at 1:30, so
Oh,
I do
yeah,
have a
cool.
bit of a
No,
hard stop.
this has been so incredible, Mark. Thank you so much. I'm so on genuinely honored and grateful to be in your company and to just kind of hear more of your story and kind of to yeah, just spend some time with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It was nice of you to offer me to come on your podcast, and I wish you all the luck in the world, and keep going. And be like, I knew her back in the day before she was crypto king of the world.
I feel like I'm gonna be saying that same thing. Like my journey in crypto is just gonna be to like get to the point where I can buy a Hemeon NFT. And actually,
Oh my
when
gosh.
people think of not redeeming like a sketch for the physical piece, it's so funny how quickly my mind can change, which I don't know if that is a feature or a bug, but just this idea that at the start of the conversation, I was like, that's outrageous. How could you not want this in your home? Like, but in saying that now, like
Yeah.
after we've been talking about NFTs for an hour, I can absolutely see the value of the NFT, and that if
Yeah.
someone was to pick up a physical Hemian but not have the NFT, that would, in my opinion, like really affect the legitimacy of the art.
Yeah. I know.
And
It's weird,
so,
huh?
yeah.
What's interesting too is when people, I'm not, so when they redeem the sketch, I don't know their name. I'm not gonna ask their name. I'm just gonna say, give me an address. So they can send a painting to whoever they want. One person bought three of the sketches. That's, so I don't know. I'm gonna build it and get a little report that says, make a painting for sketch number 5, send it here. I don't know who that's going to. I have no idea. I mean, I'll put a thing that says, who would you like this to go to, and add a nice note. So I don't know, maybe people use them to send gifts. And then I'll still be painting normal ass painting. Like I still am going to be a painter. So my hope is that those physical paintings are also worth money to people, and that they're just beautiful and they'll be in their home and look good.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
all right,
Amazing.
Alicia, thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you so much, Mark. I really
I drew,
appreciate
I
it.
drew, I drew a lot while we were talking. I hope that's okay.
Is that
So
a
that
good
was
sign?
nice. Yeah, I always draw when I like talk to people. It's just helpful for me to process. So I hope if I was like looking down, that's what was going on.